Let's thank God the Father, the Creator, and I'd like to just speak a little bit about the idea that many satanic forces deceive the world with, as they say that the Bible is not written by man. And that's true with the New Testament, because you can see that the New Testament is like a cartoon version of me that paints me as this exaggerated Superman. And I use that reference, of course, because I'm dealing with the pluralistic satanic world, but really, as I said before, I'm this Clark Kent guy. I have no power, and I wear this I'm worthless garbage, evil, narcissistic, but I'm used as an example, and this is what God does. The curse causeless does not come, so he gives the saints the sins, deludes us into doing them, then punishes us for them, so we truly repent because we have the good heart, and then he transforms our hearts. And the circumstances of the thing are so realistic that people think, no, well, but of course God has to use the circumstances at hand. For instance, with me, with taking these pills, which had defiled my conscience. And as I wake from my wine and my madness, which was predictably programmed in the mad Hercules, crisscrossed with Pericles, a prince of Tyre, like Tyre and Sidon, waking to recover his daughter. Marina, Mashenka, Marilyn, Mary, Malka. This is how God works in these leitmotifs, these patterns, in reincarnative forces. So in this carnation, we see how he works, and that I have to eat crow, as per these crows that have been following me around for 3 years, screaming at me until I finally got the point of the gospel, which was that I was a hypocrite and thought I was above it because I was being deceived by the evil one the whole time and was failing to use discretion. In the height of my folly, I went astray, and my pride, and we all do to this some extent. So, I wanted to say that if you look at the Old Testament, you can see that there's omissions. That certainly God's word, although he's preserved it through the Torah, and beyond doubt, it's the only text of any quote-unquote religious text. It's really the only religious text because it's the only one that's preserved, and it's the only actual revelation that's witnessed by a huge host of people, angels included. Like Sam Jasser is a person, an angel with a specific personality. He's the one that convinced Azazel and 199 others, 200 of these defective angels, to sleep with these women, human women, who their hair drove these guys crazy and they had to rape them. He said, we have to have sex with these girls. Let's bind ourselves by mutual imprecations. Great idea. This borderline personality disorder thing, which really comes down to this self-hatred. But to put it on that level, that psychiatric, therapeutic level, which it is, and which we have to use in this day and age, it's a borderline personality, self-destructive type. I had this type. I was deluded with this so I could talk about this. It's a phenomenon. So I'm taking no delight in this. I'd say this is the horrible thing of having attacked all these people. I love you. It's like I'm waking from this nauseous, vomitous nightmare. So anyway, the point is that I'm an example of what not to do. So then when you look at the New Testament, you see that there's real additions of things, like those epistles, and you can see that it's human, this resentful, satanic, borderline personality hand at work, like in many of the epistles. The epistle will be about we're wrestling with spirit, not flesh, and then it'll end with some gossip like tell Hymenaeus he was a horrible person to me. See how God is allowing that to be part of the New Testament, because he's showing that still that guy can't resist gossiping. The Old Testament has none of that in the scriptural element. Yes, in dialogue perhaps, but you see how careless the New Testament is? It's a cartoon. I mean, I think that so rejoice with trembling. Notice that the New Testament makes God this loving guy. Very rarely, other than, the thing to do is just please listen to Isaiah, read it, and read Ecclesiastes. And that's all you really need to know. I mean, it's like, you'll see that God is consuming fire. But you'll notice that the New Testament always tries to say that he is a forgiving God. Yes, but he's a person, and he's run out, we already know, of forgiveness, especially for those who see the truth of him and then go back and betray him. That's his big thing. And that's in Hebrews, I think, where he says, those who have having tasted the good fruit of then when they go back, something like this. But charity, really charity. It's true. Without that, we're nothing. Just nonsense. So let's do Isaiah. Let's do Isaiah, please. Where's this dog? Sorry. Let's do Isaiah 14, I guess. Notice again that Isaiah is right by Ecclesiastes. It's the same tone. Okay. Is this Isaiah? Wait, let me just check something to see. Yeah, it's Isaiah 14. Sorry. I have to do this very softly. This is good for me, actually. Wait, hang on, please. I'm sorry. So chapter 14. This is the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 14. Israel will be gathered and enjoy millennial rest. Lucifer was cast out of heaven for rebellion. And notice the tense shift there. Israel will be gathered and enjoy millennial rest. Dash. Lucifer was cast out of heaven for rebellion. Israel will triumph over Babylon, the world. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them, and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord, for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. It shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased, like the golden calf. You see the resonance there. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest, and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. Hence the predictive programming of the song Fairy Feller. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. Let's read that again. That's a very famous line. Verse 9, chapter 13, the book of the prophet Isaiah. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Let's do that again. Let's do that again. Okay, yes, sorry. Chapter 14, the book of Isaiah, verse 14. I will ascend, this is Satan talking. or when he was Lucifer, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, which is impossible because God, he is contained within God's world. I will be like the Most High. No. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? Come to the cross. Come to the cross. The cross. The cross. Yeah, so all the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of the grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. And this is verse 22. Again, chapter 14, the book of the prophet Isaiah. For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and the remnant and son and nephew, saith the Lord. I will also make it a possession for the bittern and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts, the Lord of Sabaoth. The Lord of hosts hath sworn, saying, Surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass, and as I have purposed, so shall it stand, that I will break the Assyrian in my land, and upon my mountains tread him under foot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders. This is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. Excuse me, let's look at this line now, please. This is the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 26 through 27. Now God is promising that he's going to break the Assyrian, and then he's telling the world what the purpose is of his existence. And basically, this is it. This is God now. This is his personality. That I will break the Assyrian in my land, and upon my mountains tread him under foot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, the oppressed, and his burden depart from off their shoulders. This is, of course, the promise. This is the gospel. this is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. For the Lord of hosts hath purposed, and who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? In the year that King Ahaz died was this burden. Rejoice not thou, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will kill thy root with famine, and he shall slay thy remnant. Howl, O gate, cry, O city, thou, whole Palestina, art dissolved. For there shall come from the north a smoke, and none shall be alone in his appointed times. What shall one then answer the messengers of the nation? That the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. And the poor of his people shall trust in it. All praise be to God. Come to the cross.